This is your 4-minute warning.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Carl.
Let's see how this goes, shall we?
Okay, so we are the others.
So, have you watched the new Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes?
I have, yeah. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it more because I wasn't expecting.
I put off watching it for a while.
Yeah.
Then I watched it, obviously.
I'll be honest, the trailer didn't really make me want to watch it.
No.
Maybe there was different trailers that came out, but I only saw one trailer for it, and yeah, it didn't do much. So I kind of went into it thinking, this isn't going to be that great. And I think maybe I enjoyed it more because I had no expectations going into it, or certainly low expectations.
Yeah. I like the character Noah.
Yeah.
He was quite a good character.
Yeah.
Because obviously...
Used to Caesar.
Yeah, he was kind of the audience, exploring the world for the first time.
I liked that it was a few generations on.
Yes.
I thought that was good.
Yeah. I also like that they kind of turned the story on its head a bit. Because the first time you see the other factions and then they go, oh, hail Caesar and so on. You're like, oh, okay. They're just following the teaching. But to say it's a commentary on certain things because obviously, you could look at, stories of the Bible or whoever you believe in and about, sacred texts and so on.
Yeah, it's a commentary on
years ago.
Beliefs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So obviously there's certain beliefs on Caesar and who he was, then it's changing of those beliefs.
Yeah, it's the
fit the agenda
interpretation of the text.
Yes.
It's the interpretation of that history.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to have a slightly different...
My favourite character in it was the orangutan.
Same.
I know he was Maurice in the originals. I don't know what he was called in this one.
No, I can't remember that.
That was such a great character.
Was, yeah. Where do you rate the first three films? The trilogy.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about
obviously, when the first one came out of this trilogy, of the last trilogy, the first one, I would give that like a 6.
I'd give it a 7. I liked it. It was very slow.
Yeah. But it had to.
It was interesting.
It was such a big story it needed to play.
And it was, the moment when he speaks at the end.
Yeah.
You're like, well, yeah, leading up to that. No. Yeah, it was leading up to it. I like
the middle one. They kind of try to shoe in the humans in the middle one.
Yeah,
and
I don't. Think
I remember watching the middle one. I was kind of like, nah, we're ready. We're ready for the apes.
Yeah.
Just give them the limelight.
Yeah,
because every time they went to the humans, because obviously their big story was redoing the dam.
Yeah,
I didn't give a damn about the humans.
No, I'll be honest. That trilogy almost didn't need a second part.
No.
1 and 3 would have been fine.
But the third one...
I could watch the second one. It was fine.
The third one was obviously,
Yeah, I like the third one. I think
it's kind of...
I think Woody Harrelson's brilliant.
Yeah, he's brilliant in it. It's kind of like a Schindler's List.
Yeah.
With apes. Yeah. Kind of a story.
It is. And to be honest, I love any film that's got snow in it.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just do.
I think that whenever there's a film with snow in it, it gives you a chill. It kind of sets the mood.
Yeah, you can use it. It's because it's bleak.
Yeah.
When the colours are all bleached, there's a bleakness to it. And
exactly.
It's good. There's loads of great snow films as well.
Yeah.
The Thing, that's just magnificent film. That's one of the perfect snow films. 30 Days of Night, great snow film. War of the Planet of the Apes. That's a great
So going back to Kingdom.
Yeah, sorry. I was tangent.
The human character I don't think her character was great in it.
No, I also don't.
Yeah, it was good, obviously, because obviously she, led him to the silo.
The one thing I really didn't like, other than the fact that it didn't have any snow in, which obviously would have made any film better, when the dam is broken.
There's a lot of water.
There's like way too much water.
It's a lot more water than there should be.
Why would the water...
Yeah, it was like a beach.
Why would the water go all that way up?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, when I was watching it, I was kind of like, oh, what are you doing?
It doesn't make sense because of gravity.
Yeah, but if they had to go down into the silo a bit more...
Maybe I need to see it again.
Then that would have made sense. But they didn't. I only saw it last week.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They kind of went up.
When I was watching it, I was thinking, where is all this water coming from?
See, when I was watching it, I was thinking, right, okay, so they're doing Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
So Beneath the Planet of the Apes is obviously, there's a cult around a missile.
Yeah, that's right.
In the leftover humans, and they worship it, and that's how obviously the planet gets destroyed in the middle film. As soon as I saw the silo, and I was like, that's what they're doing. They didn't.
No.
Which is fine.
Yeah, I enjoyed the film.
I was kind of like thrown a bit where the human character was, I need to find a book which will give the humans back the ability to speak. Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, what's this book? Is it, is it the Bible? Is it some kind of dictionary? But the fact that obviously it was an encrypted key for the satellites, I thought that was quite interesting because I didn't expect that.
And I also like that the humans could speak.
Yeah.
They just didn't.
Yeah. Any humans who were normally out and about, there was a bit where they go and find the zebras. And there was the humans by the water. Obviously, those humans were a bit special.
Yeah. I guess there's different.
When she obviously had the encryption key and she went back to the radar station with the key, they didn't allow her back in.
No.
Because she might be contaminated, which is interesting.
It was a good film. I probably need to see it again just to get...
I'm interested in what they're going to be doing next with it.
Yeah.
Because,
I thought
are the humans going to leave in peace with the apes? I don't really think they will do.
The big bad in it.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the original trilogy, you've got... Is it Koba?
Koba, yeah.
Yeah. He's a big bad.
Mm-hmm.
Nasty, In this film, it was just the king of that.
Yeah, Proxima Caesar.
And he just wasn't particularly threatening for me. But he wasn't a bad character. He doesn't have that same level.
He kind of like came across as he was like a dictator who, he needed a human to kind of tell him the history books and educate him in what was going on.
I suppose in one way, that's more interesting.
Yeah. That was an interesting way of doing it. He wasn't just this smart ape.
Yeah.
That knew all this information. He wasn't. He was told stories about the past, about Rome.
It's interesting. I just don't think he was menacing enough to be, he not as memorable a villain.
Yeah. The whole bird...
more perhaps a little believable.
Yeah.
And has a few more dimensions to his character.
Yeah.
But he just, for me, could have done with a little bit more menace.
The whole bird thing was a bit different with the trained birds.
The eagles.
The thing which I noticed was, obviously in the original trilogy, at the end of the last trilogy, at the end of the film, all those apes, Caesar's tribe, they left California. They went east.
That's right.
To find somewhere new to live. Yeah. In this film, they were all in California again.
Right. Okay.
Because there was a scene with the airport where there was these murals and they were explaining it. That airport was LAX.
Right. Okay.
So it's gone back to California because the original film was set in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So it's gone back there. So maybe the next film, Noah goes, right, let's go and find these other apes who followed Caesar's.
Ancestors of Caesar.
Ancestors of Caesar.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they do. Because obviously he wasn't that interested, but he wanted to explore. Now he might have that inkling in him going, I need to find out more about what Caesar...
There's different ways it can go. Yeah. There's different ways it can go.
Now, obviously, we've got a middle film and then we've got the last film. The last film is probably then going to be closer to Planet of the Apes, which is still thousands of years in the future.
Yeah.
Depending on which way they're going to do it. Because obviously in the original story, Charlton Heston, the astronaut, comes down and, you apes, you blew it to hell and so on. But in this franchise, in the first film, which started it all off, on the TV in the background, there is a news broadcast about a space shuttle which gets lost in space.
That's right.
So it goes up and the astronauts gets lost. And obviously these astronauts go away and then obviously everything goes to shit. So whichever way they're going to do, they have to do it some way. Those astronauts obviously have to come back to Earth.
Yeah. Do you not think that's it's too late for that? Because we're already now generations after that. Those astronauts will be dead.
No, because the original film with Charlton Heston, it was thousands of years.
Oh yeah,
it was thousands. It was some.
I see what you're saying.
Some portal or something that he did. It was thousands of years because obviously he didn't know he was actually on Earth until the last scene where he saw the Statue of Liberty.
Whether that's going to be in this trilogy or another trilogy,
because
you kind of they're going to stick with Noah for a while.
The thing is with the Planet of the Apes films, obviously it is a virus, but they have kind of done it a bit more grounded.
Yeah,
with their science and so on. And if they do the astronaut stuff, then it's a bit more fantasy kind of. Stuff with it. Depending on which way they do it. Because obviously the Tim Burton one, with Marky Mark, he went through a portal, which then took him to another planet, which wasn't Earth,
right?
Which had the apes, and then he left that planet, went through another portal, which was obviously all mapped out, and then he went back to Earth, which was another universe, which was apes.
Yeah,
I like that. I always like that ending.
Yeah.
So there is some kind of weird way they're going to have to do it. If they do it, which I think they should do it, because that film's going to make bank. And I've never used that phrase before, but that film's going to make money.
Yeah.
Because it will be a remake of the original film.
Yeah.
Because obviously in the original trilogy, The middle film was Beneath Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
At the end of that film, there was the explosion. The planet was destroyed. In the third film, I think it was Cornelius and his wife, who was pregnant.
Yeah.
They left that future. They went through into the spaceship. They went through some kind of portal, and then they ended up back in the 70s. And they landed, and obviously that it was Earth, our Earth.
Yeah.
And they were kind of, they were about to be experimented on, and then they did a runner, and the film ends. They give Caesar to a circus.
Right.
And in the last scene, baby Caesar, is in a cage, like a circus cage. And the last shot is of Caesar's face,
right,
going, "Mama,
right.
Mama." And then it's kind of like, ooh. That's how the original trilogy ended.
Right. Oh.
Side little thing about that. The person who ran the circus was Khan.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but anyway. But that's how the original trilogy ended, which I always found really fascinating, because the way they said the uprising originally happened wasn't about a virus. There was a virus which killed dogs and cats, which happened in the 1990s or something.
Okay.
So they got rid of their pets, and then everyone started having apes as pets and servants. And then they were brutally they were abused and so on. Yeah. And then it was one day, one ape or chimpanzee said
rebelled
and said no.
Yeah. And
then that's how the uprising happened.
Yeah.
And then somehow apes got smarter, and then thousands of years later.
Yeah, that was the original trilogy. Story. Well, in the
in the 70s, yeah. So obviously the new trilogy, with it being about the virus, which is for Alzheimer's, and which I thought was a really good way of doing it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. I thought it was really good.
So it depends on which way they're going to do it. It's 20th Century Studios, which was Fox, which is now Disney.
Yeah,
it's a franchise which hasn't killed this. Hasn't killed it yet.
I don't know how well this latest one's done though.
It only made, I think it was about 300 million in the box office, which since COVID they are good figures. Not for the type of film like that, because of how expensive it would have been to make it because of the CGI. They haven't said that it was a flop. They haven't said if they are going to make another one or not. I'm sure they will do. There's money there.
There's scope for story.
There is scope for story, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be interested in going watching another one.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Stay tuned.
This week's podcast is certainly not sponsored by
My Better Cat. Get a better cat at mybettercat.com. Meow.
Okay.
So the thing I want to talk about is, because obviously we spoke about movies, TV, and so on.
Yep.
Now you wrote a screenplay.
That's right. We did, yeah. Well, I did. Yeah. A short horror film called Lost Night. That's pretty much finished now. We just put in the music to it.
So how did you feel about writing a screenplay? Was there any kind of things which helped you get into that?
I write novels anyway.
Right, okay.
Horror novels and dark comedy novels. So it wasn't a massive leap. I've always loved films and I've always wanted to write a film. Or when I'm writing a novel, I see it in my head as a film anyway as I'm writing. So it wasn't a massive leap to do a short story as a screenplay. Our friend Rob, he was a wedding videographer for a time. The only reason he really got into wedding videography was because he wanted to learn all about filmmaking and have the ability and the tools to make a film. So he's always wanted to make a film. So we got a bunch of friends and who aren't actors. None of us are actors, but we didn't know any actors and we had no money. So it was a case of just relying on our skills, fairly au fait at writing. Rob knew his way around the video cameras and the lighting rigs and all that kind of stuff. We'd already got the stuff. So it was a case of writing something that could be filmed on the cheap, basically. But we did end up shooting on location out in the sticks.
So did you actually go and find any of these locations before you started writing the screenplay, or was the screenplay kind of nailed down first?
No, I wrote the screenplay first. It's probably not the best way to do it when you've got no money. And then we went out location scouting. We found quite a few different places. We settled on one in Yorkshire, North Yorkshire, in the middle of nowhere, really. It was brilliant because it was a house in the middle of nowhere. All around the house, you got different kind of scenery. So there was woodland and there was fields. And on the way there, we shot some of the outside shots that on the way there. So we already knew day one, we'll go and shoot there before we even get to the house. And then in the evening, get all the equipment together so that on day two, we could shoot all the house scenes And we were basically, you're waiting for the weather as well. So one morning it was really misty, so we filmed some stuff in the mist.
Okay, so that helped with the atmosphere.
Well, it did. We didn't end up using any of them shots because it wasn't consistent with any other day where it wasn't misty. So it would have been stupid to actually use the shots. But they looked really good. But yeah, so we had 5 days filming, very stressful, because I think when most people make a film for the first time, they go, right, let's do 10, 15-minute short in a room. We didn't. We had external shots, we had walk-in shots, we had drone shots, we had to change the lighting on pretty much every shot that we did. We gave ourselves way too much to do. And then COVID happened, so it got shelved for a while. And then after COVID, we started trying to put it together. And then we got Luke Williams from Death Trails and Crawl and other bands that you will have seen him in.
Luke also does our intro and outro music as well for the podcast.
He does. Very talented guy. And he's putting the music to it. So he's nearly finished that. The cut that he's putting the music to, probably about 28 minutes long, I think. That just needs the last few tweaks doing to it alongside the music. But yeah, it's pretty much all ready to go. And hopefully, I've not heard it with the music, but hopefully we'll get to send that off and so we'll send it off to film festivals, just see what people think.
So what's the actual idea behind the short film?
It's based on 4 armed robbers. The film starts with the audio of the robbery as the credits are coming on, and then at the end of the robbery you hear some gunshots, and then that's where the visuals start. I can't really tell you much more than that because that would give away the plot, but it's good. It's good. I'm pleased with it so far. And considering none of us are actors, we did a lot of rehearsing at the studio before we even went out. So I think it got everybody into a decent frame of mind with regards to letting your inhibitions go when you're acting. Everybody seemed to do really well. There was some good stuff. There was some bad stuff that we had to cut, but I think generally, we've done a good job for a first film. Hopefully, people.
So is there any idea of when that's actually going to be released or a trailer available?
We did do a trailer. I don't know whether we released the trailer or not. But now that we've got the film pretty much done, we'll do another trailer anyway. Again, it's not like going to go on general release or anything. It's a short film that we've made to send to film festivals just to see if anybody likes anything about it. And it was really just something, it's just a passion project, something we wanted to do for years, and we got the means to do it, so we should do it.
So obviously your background is writing stories, and because you are now a published author.
I am. Yeah,
so how did you start that then?
I've been writing since I was like 5, so it was just. Yeah, I mean, they were crap when I was 5. Hopefully I got a little bit better than that. And then, I've always liked writing, always wanted to be a writer since the age of 5. It's independently published, it's through Amazon, but I'm in some shops now as well. So it's a long journey, and it's been hard work. But
so what types can give me an example of one of your books that you've written?
There's horrors and there's dark comedies. Because I started with the dark comedies, Trouser's Edge, there's a trilogy of those books. They're the biggest sellers. I've sold thousands and thousands of those. And that's just because they were the first ones I did. I also really like writing horror.
So you mentioned Trouser's Edge. What's that about?
Trouser's Edge, that's about a guy called Emery Trouser. He's an accountant. One night he comes home, he wakes up discovers there's a portal to hell in his kitchen.
Right, okay.
And it's basically everything that happens from there on, just through the 3 books. His life is just, not normal from there on in. You got all these things coming from hell, and hell's actually a republic, and it's run by a committee now, and it's just, it's
as it would be.
Yeah, as it would be. Yeah, they've got health and safety rules and things like that. It's which is real hell. I think everyone who has ever worked had to do risk assessments, health and safety things. Yeah, that's hell. So it's a different kind of trilogy. It's dark comedy. They're the ones that have sold because I did those first. My passion for writing horror, though, is probably a bit more. I go through phases, which is why I write both. But the Ethereum books, that's a trilogy at the moment. Of just the 3rd one came out last year.
So how could people get access to these books?
You can go on Amazon, search for Carl Lee, and if you like the horror, type Ethereum, Etheren. Those books would pop up. If you like the comedies, type Trouser's Edge. Put Carl Lee Trouser's Edge.
So do you actually have a website that people can go to as well?
I do, yes.
And on the socials?
carlleeuk.com.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And you'll find links to the purchases and book pages and everything in there. Enough about me.
And that's the end of this week's podcast. If you enjoyed any of that, please come back for next week. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Carl, and we were the others.